How are adequate sound insulation requirements defined? Well, we could look at it like this. Now, if we have annoyance ratio, the percentage of people from 0 to 100 that are annoyed by sound disturbance from their neighbors when they are walking, that's what's called on the x-axis on this graph, impact sound SNQ, which is single number quantity. That is like if we have a decibel value that we get a rating from the about the walking sound when your neighbor is walking on the floor above you, then preferably if you get a higher decibel value, people tend to get more annoyed. That makes kind of sense. But why does the curve look like an S shape like this? Well, you see, if it's not just a linear slope on this one, because there's like a region in the middle where the real differences occur. Because consider this: if let's say if it's 70 dB, by then it's going to be pretty loud, and that means just about everyone will be annoyed if it's 70 dB. And then it doesn't matter if we go to 80 or 90 or 100 dB, you will have still 100% annoyance, even if you keep increasing. So that's why you get that shape in the upper part of the curve. And the same thing goes in the lower part. Like imagine if there's like a threshold that if you stay below that threshold, people won't get annoyed. Now, of course, you can see in the graph, it does not go all the way to 0, but because there are people who will always complain, no matter how silent you design your buildings. And that's why it cannot go completely to 0. But if maybe it's like, let's say it's 40, I'm just name dropping a number here. So let's say it's 40 dB, and if you go below 40, you will still have 0 annoyance because you're below the annoyance threshold. So when we're defining proper sound insulation requirements on how we should design our buildings when we do civil engineering, this is the part of the curve that's interesting, just in this little region where the annoyance starts to take off. So we have to have a discussion. Should we can't accept 0% annoyance. That's not reasonable. It's not economical. It's going to cost a fortune, and you still won't be able to reach it because some people will complain anyways. But should we aim at 1% annoyance, or 3 or 5% annoyance, or maybe we could accept 10% annoyance? Because this is a balance where we have to look at other parameters like health, social aspects, which is kind of what health is about here when we're talking acoustics. Economy, it's gonna cost a fortune to get it better. When you go, it's always like this. When you're gonna go into the premium segment, the cost for every extra decibel will become more and more and more expensive the higher you set the bar. And then you also have the ecological question, because if we're gonna design a more silent building, is going to require more materials. So we have to find where we should put our bar on a reasonable level. So these ones are the economy, social, and ecology, that they harmonize and is in a good balance, because we can't just look at one of them, then we're going to end up in a bad place. So the question is then, what should be the minimum requirements? And then we could perhaps define some premium level. In Sweden, we have something we call sound classes, class A, B, C, and even D, where A is the best one, is rarely used because it's so expensive. But you have sound class B and sound class C, which are commonly used, because then you get a proper minimum level, and then and you can pay extra money, and you will go to the next premium step with a noticeable improvement in sound quality. It's about 4 decibels improvement with each step, and 4 decibels, anyone can perceive 4 decibels. I'm quite convinced about that. So that's where we have to look at. We look at this little red area of the curve and try to detect that annoyance threshold, and then we put our limit there. Yep, that's how we do it. And in today's video, I'm wearing a vest with a little knit tie. It's gray, and you've got a gray here, and I pick it up in the vest with lighter gray on the pattern. But this vest is a bit cool because it has lapels, which makes it somewhat more formal, but it also looks great if you remove the jacket and you want to run around like this, and you will still look really dapper. And then you got also orange, which is a killer match with green. I really like this combination. It's good. See you later.